Hello and a very warm welcome back to Widowed AF. You're here with me. I'm your host, Rosie Gill-Moss. And I've got a special guest for you today, guys. Do you want to say hello to your adoring public, John?
Hello. I'm back.
This is the voice of Jonathan Gill-Moss, affectionately known as my live husband, for those who aren't familiar. So a very warm welcome back. It's been a while since we've done one of these chatty episodes, but we thought it was probably about time. Kids are back at school, and we're still riding on cloud 9, really, aren't we, after Woodstock?
Yeah.
Might as well just go straight in on that. So welcome back, everyone. Let's talk about our achievements. We hosted the first proper festival that we've done. Last year we invited guests who've been on the podcast to come to our house, which was really, really lovely. But obviously the more guests we have, the less practical that becomes. So we thought we would host a festival called Woodstock. You can see what I did there. Very clever, yes. Mm-hmm. And it was hosted in Westmoreland, where we live in Kent, and it was everything that we could have dreamed it would be and more. It was just amazing. We had live music, we had stalls, rides, food, drink. Yeah, it was just one of those really magical days where everything goes pretty. I mean, we didn't have a stage, did we? About an hour before we opened.
That was quite stressful in the morning when the stage wasn't right.
And then we had no running water in the ladies' toilets, also slightly problematic, as I'd marketed it as having nice toilets, but everything was resolved. There was no disgusting toilets. Nobody behaved badly. It was just really, really good. And it's a funny old world that we inhabit, isn't it, where so many of those people were brought together because of loss, because of tragedy and deep, deep sadness. And I think the one emotion that we didn't really feel on Saturday was sad. And again, I'm going to make it all about me. You've come to expect this, I know. But since I gave up booze, which I passed my 900-day countdown the other day. So it's been a significant chunk of time, and I'm immensely proud of myself and very happy I made that choice. And I talk a lot about inhibitions and how you need your inhibitions. That's what stops you when you've got, if there's somebody walking behind you too close, it stops you getting into cars with strangers, all these things that alcohol kind of numbs. But I realised there were some inhibitions that I really, really missed. And those inhibitions were, I was always the first on the dance floor. I was the last one off. Party Rose was, I guess, much like Beyonce, my Party Rose and my kind of alter ego. And I felt I'd lost her and I kind of missed her. And I've been able to do everything. I've gone to concerts, festivals, birthday parties, funerals, you name it. I've done it sober. But I really had this barrier over dancing. And on Saturday, I also have been having singing lessons to try and sing with a band, because I'll talk about that in a minute. But I knew I'd done something scary with the festival. I knew I was going to try and do something else scary. And I sort of thought, right, get on the dance floor. Everybody here is here because they are supporting you. Mm-hmm. Nobody cares if you look a bit like a mum. I am a mum, right? And it was like this cloak of, I don't know, inhibition, I guess, was lifted off me. And I was sequin and sparkly and barefoot at one point. Some things never changed. And it just felt amazing. But I hope it carries on. I hope I sort of need to keep that momentum going, because it was like I reclaimed all the positives without any hangover. I mean, I felt like I'd been hit by a bus, but that was, how many steps did you do?
31,000 or something.
Yeah, I mean, it was.
Unless the phone in the pocket, that wasn't accurate. The tracks. So.
Yeah, we did a lot of walking, and I had cowboy boots on as well for extra points. But I don't have a hangover. I don't have that lingering feeling of shame, of concern of what I might have said to people. And I remember everything. I remember every single one of my amazing friends that turned out to support us. And I remember every single one of my widow tribe that made the journey to come, because people came from all over. We had Jimmy Wild in our annex.
We did.
So that's how rumours get started. And Lulu was there, and so many of the guests that have been on the podcast, were familiar with Lou, and it was really nice for them to get to meet her. But I'm going off topic on my widow podcast, but I think this is something I wanted to talk about a bit. Photos of yourself. Like, does anybody else really struggle with photos of themselves? Yeah. So I'd had this incredible day. I felt like a powerhouse. I felt beautiful, and I don't say that very often.
You were.
I just felt free and glittery, and And then I looked at the photographs, and there was a few photos of me singing, because I did sing, not terribly well or with any great skill, but it was. I was told to mime in the school choir when I was 10, and I've not sung publicly since. So it was kind of cool. But I then started to sort of doubt the whole achievement, because I thought I looked a bit fat in a photo. And I can't be the only one that does this. And women, I think we're more likely to do it. Men, I'm sure, do it too. But that you can achieve so much in your life, but you can see one photo that brings it all crashing down. So it's not really on topic, but it was in my head, so you got to hear it.
Well, that's one of the it's the human condition. It's the bias towards negative. It's a protection mechanism.
Oh, I knew you were here for a reason.
And I work through it in therapy of challenging the thoughts. So you basically I think the best thing whenever I've said to me is, if you close your eyes and without saying it out loud, say the word hello, and you can hear it in your brain, can't you?
Yeah.
Yeah.
This makes good content.
Who's saying that?
Yeah.
So who are you really?
Yeah.
Yeah, you're controlling everything inside you, and you can actually tell those thoughts, not right now, I ain't got time for you. But and over time it goes away.
It's just even the idea that our worth and our value is so tied up in our appearance.
Yeah.
So what if I did look fat? Like, would that have made my achievement any less admirable? Should I be any less proud of myself?
You didn't at all.
I think it's almost like it is that sort of that negative voice in your brain, and I've talked about mine quite a lot on here, and I affectionately call it the snake. And it's like, no matter how great a thing I do, that little negative demon will say, but you could have done it better, or but you didn't look your best. It just, I don't know. I don't know whether it's a neurodiversion thing, or whether it's a woman thing, whether it's, I don't know, whether it's just a part of the human condition, but it's that idea that you can see, 14 amazing pictures of yourself and think, wow, I look great. Yeah. And then see one, which is blurry from an angle, and think,
we have the wrong lens.
Yeah. And it's on someone's camera phone. So it's just, I suppose I wanted to touch on it because I can't be the only person that does this. And I've really given myself a bit of a talking to, actually, and really tried. And I got quite upset in therapy this week because I've spent many, many years beating an eating disorder, and I could feel the tendrils of it pulling me. Yeah. I was like Googling meal delivery services. I was like, well, whatever, I'm eating, and that negative spiral just exacerbated so quickly from one bad photo to I'm worthless. And that is, it's a really difficult thing to have to push yourself through. And I think I have, actually. I'm now looking back and think, well, I'm now like, yeah, let's do it next year, baby.
Yeah, well, and that belief can sometimes stop you going on and doing the thing that you need to do.
Yeah.
You face the hard thing. It's like, oh, no, you need to go hard again. But you don't, you need to carry on.
Well, my counsellor actually said to me, what are you afraid of? And I said, I'm afraid of failing. I'm afraid of making a fool of myself. I'm afraid of humiliation. And she said, but do you think that perhaps you're afraid of succeeding? And I thought, maybe that it is that sort of sabotage element, isn't it?
Yeah.
But for anybody who did come to Woodstock, you will know yourselves how awesome it was, even if I say so myself, so modest. But if you didn't come, what we know that a lot of people won't have come because they won't have known what this was. Because, just two Herberts in the village throwing a festival. But what I will say is the feedback we got is incredible. People have been asking us to do it again already. And I sort of thinking of it like our billboard. Yeah. Rather than investing in lots and lots of advertising about what we're doing, we throw a festival. So, yes, the answer is yes, we would like to do it next year. We might have to be a little bit more financially savvy, but it was worth it.
Yeah, we didn't lose that much money.
No, we didn't. We sold a lot of tickets, and it was amazing. We had one noise complaint, which I think is a sign of a good event.
Yeah, one noise complaint. Yeah. Probably okay.
So, just bringing us back to the here and now. Can't dwell on Saturday's glory forever. Back to school. We're all bar one of the kids is back to school. We've had a fairly easy transition, actually, but as always, lots of big feelings. It's so my Hector and Holly have both gone into year 7. Hector stayed where he is. He's in a specialist school, so he's been lovely, lots of lovely support and really happy. Went back happy for the first time in his school career. In fact, my parents stayed last night and they were saying my dad did the school run with John, and he said, I can't help just thinking back to those days where 3 teachers had to carry him, you know, and a lot of that was trauma. It was trauma because Hector is autistic, and he did not, in the way that so many children can't, he was unable to process the enormity of his dad's death. And whereas the autism was obviously always there, what happened was his traits were exacerbated to a point that he became quite, it was deregulated, but it was very scary to watch. It was very frightening. And then to have him walk into, it's the same school, but it's a new class. It's year 7. It's a new curriculum. He's just had 6 weeks off. Not a backward glance. No. And I guess for all parents out there who are so scared of how this is going to impact on their child, and yes, there's neurodiversity here, but I'm also going to talk to you about Holly going in, because it just shows that these children with love and care and reassurance, they can be okay. And I'm saying that tentatively because a lot aren't. And that's not your fault if your kids are not okay. It's not. It's just, it is a trauma and it's horrible. But I hope that we are able to give some of you out there a little bit of hope, because I did not think 6.5 years ago that my children would be happy going into school, that they'd be able to transition to new schools, that they would have friends. And I'm sorry, I'm sort of losing my plot a bit here.
I'll be honest, I couldn't even see that far.
No.
I couldn't even see beyond the next 12, 18 months. But
no.
Yeah, they've all just gone back to business, back to new school.
Yeah.
And faced these challenges head on.
And I'm thinking about Holly, where you had to take her into class. She had to sleep in with us. The attachment that was there, and she started high school, so really, really big change. You know, it's not even in the village. It's at the moment it's a lift away. Yeah. A friend of hers offered, the mother, 11-year-old's not crying, I've offered to give her a lift, but we took her the first day, and then she didn't want us to take her on the second day. That was it. She was, and I thought, that's it. As a parent, you're like, oh, like a dagger in the heart, but but it's also amazing.
Good to see the independence coming out.
Yeah. We're having to explain to the 7-year-old that she can't walk to school on her own yet. But for you, that must have been really. The difference must have been really stark from.
I'm still processing it, if I'm honest. She seems to have gone that full team, like at high school.
Oh yeah, we got hair flicking.
And she's getting up. She was tight this morning.
Yeah.
She didn't enjoy it this morning, but the look on her face, because on a Friday they finish early.
Yeah.
So the mum said, "Well, do you want to thoughts power on mine? Well, before I'm going to pick my youngest up and then drop off that." And her face in the background was like, "Oh, yes.
But again, this is all about community and finding your tribe, because going to school is really, really scary. And Holly was lucky enough to go up with 2 of her best friends from school, which has helped, definitely.
She spent most of the summer terrified.
Yes. Oh, absolutely. And they're not in the same. They're in. I don't know. There's so many groups. I just remember being in a class, but they're not together all the time, which is sort of pushing her to make her own friends as well. And we're just really, really proud of her because going, that jump from primary to secondary it's absolutely terrifying. It's giving me PTSD yesterday. I was like, oh.
That's when Holly said that the year 12 is so painful. And Holt's not dying.
She's catching us up on height. She is. Yeah. Got to stop feeding these kids. And sort of big emotional moments like going back to school, starting new school years, possibly even starting school for the very first time. These are all going to stir up massive emotions, whatever your family dynamic are. If you're widowed, which so many of you are, and we definitely are, it can, every single thing, every achievement, every milestone, I think comes at a cost. And that cost is the sadness. Yeah. We've had quite a busy week, guys. It's Saturday festival, Sunday Tabby's birthday, back to school Tuesday, Wednesday, Hector's birthday yesterday. So we're tired, and I think sometimes when you're tired, the emotions are near the surface. And as Heck was opening his presents yesterday, and he's just the sweetest kid, and he was so happy with his presents and so grateful and just wanted to be with his family. And I had to go and have, I didn't do it in the laundry basket. I will think it's the laundry basket cry, where you have to just you need to howl. And I don't mind crying in front of the kids, but I don't want to do that in front of them, especially not on his birthday.
Driving back, dropping Holly, it's still on the birthday, I was saying.
And you've got to let these feelings out. You have to, and I'm sure I keep picking up little snippets of actual medical and proper information that I want to share with you guys. But I'm sure that there is an actual physiological release that happens, and it takes away a lot of that cortisone that you're sloshing around. But in the moment, you have to really squash down those feelings, because you've got to mask it up a bit. It's your kid's birthday. But he did say to me, how come you've been crying? And I said, heck, I'm sad. Like, I'm so proud of you. And it will never be okay that your dad isn't here to see that. No. And I think acknowledging that is important.
Yeah, and the other thing is, like, when you become a widow, the one thing that you forget about your dad and is all these big days that will never fill you with such happiness just come with a little whip in the tail, smack. And that's never good. That's never going to change.
No, and it's, Hex had now 7 birthdays without his dad, and that feels like a really more than with. And I think once they cross that sort of Rubicon, it feels very different as well. What else have we got to say? Let's move on to something jolly.
Actually, we have to wrap up. We only have about 3 minutes.
Oh, I got to go. Okay, well, I will tell you guys quickly then. I have to go because I have a new job. I was recruited by a group of autistic schools, which is really exciting, very on brand, to host their new podcast. So the company is Options Autism, and the podcast is Autism Unpacked. It's not been released yet, but when it is, if you would give it a listen, that would be obviously very nice for me. I've been contracted for 8 episodes, so we're going to see how that rolls out. But very exciting. I went up to Manchester, and it was all exposed brick and cool young people.
I just tagged along.
Yeah, John came up as my support animal. But again, these are all things that I didn't dream would have happened a couple of years ago. And I'm very much of the mindset at the moment that I'm going to grab whatever opportunities come my way and see where it leads.
Yeah, I should all of you.
Yeah.
And on that vein, does anybody want me to do a YouTube series of? We decided to put a festival on. Here's how it went.
So yes, on that note, we probably should wrap up, and I'm gonna get my business head on. None of this looking at the table and drawing doodles while I'm recording. So thank you everybody who's tuned in today. We will be back with you. I've got a couple of really exciting episodes coming up, and I'm looking. I'm trying to think of who it is next, and I can't remember.
So Julie coming up on Monday. She's actually out today. I think it's her book launch.
Yes, she's a fascinating woman. She took 2 years or 6 months. See, I should have done this research, but she took a period of time out after her husband died, and she went to Australia. And when I asked her why, and she said, because I needed to be free to grieve. Julie's a little older than I am, so her children were grown, and she just felt like she wanted the space. And it's just a really interesting, different perspective on how we grieve. So have a listen, and we'll be back with you soon for another catch up. Take care, guys. Lots of love.
Bye-bye.